I'm Tim Owens, the longtime producer of jazz at National Public Radio and creator of NPR's Peabody Award-winning Jazz Profiles, a radio documentary series on the people, places, and things in jazz. The Jazz Profiles shows, nearly 200 of them, are part of the Tim Owens Jazz and Broadcast Collection at the University of North Texas Music Library. In a partnership with the 32 Bar Blues Foundation, we picked a handful of noteworthy shows to share with you. With my gratitude to the many producers who helped make the series possible, and my special thanks to the series host Nancy Wilson, we hope you'll enjoy this presentation of Jazz Profiles.
Carla Bley always had this capacity to be very challenging and very melodious and beautiful at the same time.
I mean, if you wanted to bag them up, you can. I would put Carla and Mingus and Ellington all in the one kind of bag, you know. And there is a kind of grunginess to all three of those people. You know, there's a kind of growling thing that's in the music.
And it's still swinging like big time, you know? And you can tell that it's Carla.
For more than 40 years, Carla Bley has been reinventing the big band vernacular and bringing a sense of whimsy to jazz that has rarely existed since the heyday of Cab Calloway. Her jazz opera, Escalator Over the Hill, is one of the signal events of the avant-garde. Yet, despite her eccentric style, her compositions have been embraced by jazz giants, including Gary Burton, George Russell, and Tony Williams. I'm Nancy Wilson. In this edition of Jazz Profiles, a portrait of pianist, composer, and band leader Carla Bley. You never know what to expect from Carla Bley.
I had a big problem when she asked me to sing. I didn't think I could do it.
Keyboard player Don Preston.
And actually, I couldn't.
She called me and said, you'll have to play the clarinet. So I said, well, I don't play clarinet, you know.
Saxophonist Andy Shepard.
I remember that there was a knock on my hotel room door at 10 o'clock in the morning. And there was a guy, a motorbike delivery guy, standing in my hotel room door with a box for me. And what it was that Carl had sent me a clarinet with a note inside saying, learn it.
Boston Globe jazz critic Bob Blumenthal.
I saw her once ask someone to come up from the audience and pick the tunes out of a hat so they could program the set with the spontaneity of the music.
Carla Bley is one of the enigmas of modern jazz. First, she doesn't even look like a jazz composer. She's thin and leggy. The bangs of her long straw blonde hair that hang below her expressive eyes are as much a trademark as Lester Young's pork pie hat and Charlie Chaplin's mustache.
It's really tough not looking like what you are. If I saw someone who looked like me and they said they were what I would say I was, I would laugh at them too.
Carla has cultivated an image of willful daffiness, yet she created her own record label and runs her own big band. Although she's been called the queen of the avant-garde, Carla also composed some of the most enduring compositions of modern jazz, including Silent Spring, Ida Lupino, and Sing Me Softly of the Blues. Carla Bley is sitting on a small island off of Tortola in the British Virgin Islands. For the last few years, she and her partner, bassist Steve Swallow, have been wintering here in a home they built.
From bed, we can see the ocean, we can see the sky, and we can hear birds singing. It's very nice to wake up here. We try to spend 3 months of every winter. We just come down here to be alone and to write for 3 months.
With waves rolling against the shore some 100 feet below their 2-room house, this island retreat is a long way from New York City, where Carla Bley emerged as a compositional force in the 1960s. It's even farther from Oakland, California, where she was born on May 11, 1938, as Carla Borg. Her parents belonged to a fundamentalist Christian church, and that was the first music she heard.
Lord, I know I've been changed.
Ours was very sturdy, stodgy, marchy, but with a strong drive. White Protestant, religious, lower-class music. There's power in the blood, stuff like that.
Went down to the river of Jordan.
When I switched from church music to jazz, I didn't even notice. It seemed like the same music to me. Very, very, song formish, melodies. I felt close to jazz because of my church upbringing. Strange, isn't it?
Carla's church background would appear in her music throughout her career, including her 1996 album, Goes to Church. Carla Bley with Exultation from the album Goes to Church.
From blues to bluegrass, jazz to country, R&B to rock and roll, we're moved by the proud sound of American music. Welcome to 32 Bar Blues, a fresh groove in the men's clothing world, a place where true originality, craft, and style are valued like the art forms we celebrate. Never curated or private labeled, we design and make the majority of our styles in-house. Cool clothes with enough funk or personality to make you smile, but easy to wear for most any venue. And like our name implies, 32 Bar Blues was born with a heart for the arts. Since our first collection in 2012, we featured more than 100 musicians, writers, and photographers on our pages, giving all profits from the sale of their work directly to them. We also promote a handful of nonprofit arts organizations that deserve extra support. To check out the 32 Bar Blues collection and learn more about our commitment to the arts, visit 32barblues.com.
Carla's parents were both musicians, and her father was a piano teacher. She was playing piano by the time she was 3, but she says she received little formal training, and she dropped out of high school in the 10th grade. Steve Swallow believes that didn't stop her from absorbing a wealth of musical knowledge.
Carla has perfect pitch and a remarkably retentive ear. Starting at a very early age, 3 years old, she was fed a great deal of classical music in an idiom that relates to jazz music, romantic, late romantic music. That's chord changes, that's cycle of fifths, that's the meat and potatoes of the materials that improvisers use to this day.
Although she was fed a steady diet of classical music and Christ, Carla says there was something about the outlaw image of jazz that attracted her.
I was fascinated by how the people that played it were not good people, they were bad people. And they used 4-letter words and implied a lot of sexuality. And the women even said bad words. And it was all, I guess, to do with rebellion against my religious upbringing, and I just wanted to be as bad as I could be.
Carla soaked up music in the Bay Area, sneaking into the Black Hawk Jazz Club, catching Chet Baker and Jerry Mulligan. It wasn't long before Carla Bley migrated to New York City to be closer to the wellspring of bebop. But at first, she didn't do it as a musician. In 1957, she worked as a cigarette girl at the legendary Birdland Jazz Club.
That was my entire musical education. I heard everybody and just stood about 10 feet in front of the bandstand and refused to sell anyone any cigarettes.
Pianist Paul Bley was an apparent exception.
I happened to drop into Birdland, and while standing in the back, as is my wont, this very interesting young lady came over and asked if I would like to buy some cigarettes from her. She had a cigarette case on, and I said, yes, I'd like to, and I don't smoke, so... And we met. And the next morning it was very, very hot, and we decided to go to Coney Island, and she didn't have a bathing suit, so she wore 2 scarves, and I was in love.
Paul Bley and Carla Borg quickly became a couple. They moved out to Los Angeles, where Paul's group had a lengthy stand at the Hillcrest Club. It was there that Carla began composing.
It seems that a lot of musicians needed tunes. Everyone was gigging or something, or they'd make up a tune that wasn't very good. And so I thought probably that if I wrote, then I could offer the music to jazz musicians. I did for a while. I offered it. I would write songs for John Coltrane and Cannonball Adderley, and I'd go up and say, Mr. Coltrane, I wrote this for you. It's just exactly in your style, or something. Oh, it was hilarious.
But Paul Bley wasn't laughing. He encouraged Carla to write for his band. In 1957, the Paul Bley Quintet made the first recording of a Carla Bley tune. It was called 1+1. Carla Bley's 1+1, recorded by Paul Bley. Carla would compose dozens of tunes for Paul, who soon became her husband. In Los Angeles, Carla Bley was at ground zero of one of the most epochal explosions of jazz, the arrival of saxophonist Ornette Coleman. After hearing Ornette, Paul Bley promptly fired his band and hired the Ornette Coleman Quartet to back him at the Hillcrest Club. Carla Bley was inside the bunker while Ornette's revolution was taking shape.
I know that I was there every night under the piano, and I had a tape recorder. And Paul Bley would set me up and just put me under there and tell me start and stop when we start to play, when we stop playing.
Carla says that Ornette Coleman's approach made her completely rethink her own music compositions.
Changed my life. I started writing for no chord changes and wrote what I call free for 10 years out of that.
Paul Bley performing Carla Bley's Battery, I'm Nancy Wilson, and this is NPR's Jazz Profiles, a portrait of Carla Bley.
Born from the 32 Bar Blues clothing brand, the nonprofit 32 Bar Blues Foundation was established in 2020 to promote American music, literature, photography, and the artists that create within these genres. Jazz, blues, and roots music are of particular focus, all uniquely American art forms that should be nurtured and advanced for the benefit of future generations. Toward these goals, 32 Bar Blues Foundation seeks out and partners with nonprofit arts organizations that provide education, training, opportunity, support, and exposure. Young and emerging artists, as well as established and lesser-known greats, are of equal focus. Through direct 32 Bar Blues corporate support and donations, customer donations, and all profits received from special clothing items and other partner products in the 32 Bar Blues collection, seasonal contributions go directly to the artists and organizations noted in the art section of the 32 Bar Blues website. To date, 32 Bar Blues Foundation has contributed more than $200,000 to its nonprofit partners and provided millions of full-page impressions in the 32 Bar Blues catalog. For more information about 32 Bar Blues and its foundation, visit 32barblues.com and click The Arts or go to 32barbluesfoundation.org.
Carla Bley is modest about her music, but it wasn't long before players besides Paul Bley were recording her compositions. Trumpeter Art Farmer, clarinetist Jimmy Giuffre, and vibraphonist Gary Burton became her fans. But it was another notable composer, George Russell, who was the first to take the plunge. Carla says his recognition wiped away the doubts she had about her work.
I had a lot of problems in my brain, and I was going to a psychiatrist. And this guy told me that my whole problem was in thinking I was a composer. As soon as I got rid of that absurd assumption, my life would start to straighten out. That same week, I don't know how many days it was, George Russell said he was going to record Bent Eagle. And that changed my life. I was going to become a seamstress.
Carla Bley's Bent Eagle, recorded by George Russell in 1960. Paul and Carla Bley returned to New York City, where the avant-garde was in full swing. There, John Coltrane and Ornette Coleman held court with musicians that included Sun Ra, Cecil Taylor, and Archie Shepp. In spite of the cacophony and dissonance of all the free playing going on, a melodic gem emerged from Carla, Ida Lupino, named for the tough femme fatale of film noir classics. It remains her most frequently recorded tune.
You know, it was written in the middle of a period when I wrote only very dissonant, angular things. But every once in a while, one of these pieces would just come out of me, and I was so embarrassed. That just happened to me occasionally. I got tonal for a minute.
Ida Lupino, played by Paul Bley. Boston Globe jazz critic Bob Blumenthal finds Carla's writing both lyrical and complex.
Carla Bley always had this capacity to be very challenging and very melodious and beautiful at the same time. That she could create songs and melodies that really had character of their own, and if you looked at them at the same time from a technical perspective, they had little tricks or puzzles to them. They weren't just fixed pop song formats. There was something a little more mysterious and almost like a Mobius strip about them, you know.
Carla Bley's Ictus, performed by the Jimmy Jufree Three in 1961. The group included bassist Steve Swallow and Paul Bley on piano. Steve Swallow became a champion for Carla's music and brought it with him to his next group, led by vibraphonist Gary Burton. Burton was crossing over to larger audiences with jazz and country albums, but he wanted to make a more significant musical statement. Steve Swallow suggested a concept piece that Carla Bley was working on. It was called A Genuine Tongue Funeral.
It was the most exotic setting that I had found myself in.
That's Gary Burton, who suddenly found himself teamed up with free improvisers, including tenor saxophonist Gato Barbieri, soprano saxophonist Steve Lacy, and trumpeter Michael Mantler. They would play an expansive composition that seemed instilled with the suspended time of Chinese ritual music.
Carla had her own description and theme about it. Was the death and rebirth of jazz, played out in this operatic form, symbolic form of a Chinese funeral. So some pieces to me were the funeral dirges, and other pieces were the celebrating rebirth and so on.
Carla's own vision is a bit less exotic.
Well, I was inspired by a B movie where there was a Tong funeral scene, and there were the musicians walking down the street next to the coffin, and this is the way they sounded, and that was my inspiration. But I never thought of it as being sad. I thought of it as being creepy, maybe, but basically funny. I mean, like, wow, here's the chain of the coffin being lowered into the grave. You know, it was more like the Addams Family to me than something serious. But, you know, they played it a lot slower than they were supposed to.
Silent Spring from Gary Burton's A Genuine Tong Funeral. Coming up, Carla Bley invites pop singer Linda Ronstadt and the New York Avant-Garde on her iconoclastic opera, Escalator Over the Hill. I'm Nancy Wilson, and you're listening to Jazz Profiles, a portrait of Carla Bley from NPR, National Public Radio.
From blues to bluegrass, jazz to country, R&B to rock and roll, we're moved by the proud sound of American music. Welcome to 32 Bar Blues, a fresh groove in the men's clothing world, a place where true originality, craft, and style are valued like the art forms we celebrate. Never curated or private labeled, we design and make the majority of our styles in-house. Cool clothes with enough funk or personality to make you smile, but easy to wear for most any venue. And like our name implies, 32 Bar Blues was born with a heart for the arts. Since our first collection in 2012, we featured more than 100 musicians, writers, and photographers on our pages, giving all profits from the sale of their work directly to them. We also promote a handful of nonprofit arts organizations that deserve extra support. To check out the 32 Bar Blues collection and learn more about our commitment to the arts, visit 32barblues.com.
The New York jazz scene in the 1960s bristled with the political and cultural upheaval of the day. Black consciousness, anti-war sentiment, and altered states of mind permeated virtually all American art forms, and jazz was no exception. Carla Bley was at the epicenter of it all. She helped found the short-lived Jazz Composers Guild in 1964, and with her second husband, trumpeter Michael Mantler, founded the Jazz Composers Orchestra Association. In 1969, she arranged and composed for Charlie Haydn's politically inspired Liberation Music Orchestra. But it was Escalator Over the Hill that established Carla Bley as a new and wildly eclectic musical force. Escalator Over the Hill is a sprawling and surreal opera, a concept album in the days when that was a province of rock music. In fact, that's where Carla Bley got the idea.
I read the news today, oh boy.
Yes, absolutely. A friend of mine, a sculptor, Mike Snow, told me, "Jazz, forget it. The artists are listening to the Beatles." I said, "Oh boy, the artists are listening to the Beatles. I want to listen to the Beatles then." And he had brought over this album with him, and he said, for instance, and he played the last song on Sgt. Pepper, Day in the Life. And I thought, God, it's great. I want to write like that. That's it for me.
Escalator over the hill.
Escalator Over the Hill gathered some of the most prominent free jazz players, including Don Cherry, Gato Barbieri, Howard Johnson, Paul Motian, Charlie Hayden, and John McLaughlin. Carla put them in the same room with pop singers, Andy Warhol superstars, and rock refugees. Bob Blumenthal.
To have a work where you had Gato Barbieri playing this unbelievable overture, and then Linda Ronstadt playing a major role, and then a kind of extended piece like Rawalpindi Blues. This was just almost unheard of.
We get our water and you get yours.
David lying there chewing in bed, a string knotted about his neck. What is there for an escalator to bring to him? This as unnatural as he was able. His mind a chair, looking for the table, stomach full of worms, his head full of other people's stomachs. Here comes the lamb.
The production of Escalator was an Everest expedition for Carla Bley, taking 5 years to produce. Canadian poet Paul Haynes' impenetrable story followed a cast of characters on a chaotic trek from Cecil Clarke's hotel to India. They included a doctor, a mutant, Jack, and 2 gingers. It was Fellini, waxed on vinyl.
Only flies in the room giggling will appear to have changed as unused women lie uneasily in Cecil Clarke's old hotel.
Haynes' ultimate intent remains obscure, and many of the musicians who wrote Escalator still have no idea where it took them. Singer and bassist Jack Bruce.
What it's about is beyond me.
Don Preston.
I have no idea.
Paul Haynes isn't much more help. He says he chose the word escalator in the title as an oblique reference to the lexicon of the Vietnam War.
How that word had been bastardized and turned in what it was with the escalation in Vietnam.
For her part, Carla Bley says she just found the lyrics of Escalator Over the Hill inspirational.
I don't think you have to know stuff. I think you just have to really be interested in it. And I felt that Paul Haynes was this incredibly marvelous writer, and he just impressed me so much, and I just took every word he wrote as gospel. I don't think you have to understand it, but I made my own sense of it.
Although she is often charged with rampant satire and high irony, Carla Bley insists that's not her intent.
No. I'm accused of tongue-in-cheek again and again, and I don't even know where my cheek is, you know? I mean, I don't know what they're talking about. I really care and love for this music when I'm doing it, and I'm trying to do it as well as I can. I don't understand.
She's always played with her image, with many humorous cover shots, including one in which she wears nothing but a red sweater and lots of leg. Over the next several years, she wrote dozens of satirical lyric songs for the big band she formed. Trumpeter Michael Mantler, Carla Bley's husband and musical partner from the mid-'60s to the mid-'80s, defends her.
Nothing is done for other than musical reasons. When you perform, there should be something extra, she thinks, to give the audience something to work with, that they enjoy or have a good time with.
On-stage hijinks prevailed for Carla Bley's band. Saxophonists might spin like tops during solos. Impromptu skits would erupt, and the most unlikely band members would sing. Carla's musicians loved it.
Because it was a lot of fun.
That's longtime Carla Bley trombonist Gary Valente, who enjoyed the years that spawned albums like I Hate to Sing.
Because you just got up there and played your butt off and had a good time. It wasn't uptight. It was like a party.
Critic Bob Blumenthal.
She's not ashamed to show her sense of humor. She doesn't feel that the bandstand is always in a recital hall and that the audience is supposed to be taking notes.
Come on, give me my note. I hate to sing. I really hate to sing. Why do I have to sing? It's so embarrassing. I get self-conscious when the band launches into the intro of my big song.
All the while she was projecting a bohemian image, Carla Bley was running her own record label with Michael Mantler and overseeing the new music distribution service. At the same time, she raised her daughter, Karen Mantler, who appeared on Escalator Over the Hill when she was 4. Carla Bley leads a disciplined, almost regimented life, composing virtually every day. Steve Swallow.
Carla's first law is never drink your coffee at the kitchen table. It just isn't done in this household. Once your coffee is in hand, you take it to your desk and piano, and that's final.
Carla Bley composes at the piano, but she's always disparaged her piano skills. In most of her bands, she either conducts or plays organ, leaving the piano to someone else. In recent years, Steve Swallow has gotten her to step out for duet performances.
I heard a lot of her repertoire evolve under her fingers, and I always felt there was something in her piano renditions of her music that was lost when it was translated to larger ensemble, a kind of directness and clarity and severity.
Carla Bley saxophonist Andy Shepard.
What you get when you listen to Carla playing piano is you really get a sense of instant composition. You know, you can really hear her thinking.
Carla Bley and Steve Swallow playing Mother of the Dead Man from Go Together. I'm Nancy Wilson, and this is NPR's Jazz Profiles, a portrait of Carla Bley. Carla Bley has composed for orchestra and small groups. Her classical works have been performed by jazz pianist Keith Jarrett and classical pianist Ursula Oppens. But her reputation still rests with her big band music. In the late 1980s, she returned to that format with a vengeance. Some may have called her the queen of the avant-garde, but the swing in her music has never been more evident.
Absolutely. It's a holy word. It's a word you don't mess around with.
The Carla Bley Big Band with classical violinist Alexander Balanescu, playing Birds of Paradise. Composing for forces that include 4 trumpets, 4 trombones, and 5 reeds, Carla Bley has aligned her arrangements with classic big band instrumentation, yet she still retains the spontaneity and vitality of free jazz. Saxophonist Andy Shepard.
To improvise, it sounds out even though you're desperately trying to be in. You know, you're desperately trying to stay on these scales and on these chords and improvise within that framework, but you end up sounding very outside.
Carla Bley's United States with Andy Shepard on tenor saxophone. Even though Carla Bley practically owned the composing and arranging categories in Downbeat magazine's polls in the 1980s and 90s, she believes she'll always be a jazz outsider who doesn't fit the button-down mold.
I will never be taken seriously as a composer, ever, because of the way I am personally and because of the way I look. And all I can say is, what is going to be the harm that comes to me from this? I don't really have a large audience to lose. My audience is small and it's just as weird as I am.
But jazz critic Bob Blumenthal believes Carla Bley is an important part of the jazz heritage.
She's a logical extension of the expressive jazz orchestra tradition that you would think of from people like Ellington and George Russell, very personal melodic writers. And in a way, she is one of the most successful in carrying that tradition forward and still being able to implant her own personality on the results.
Our tribute to Carla Bley was written, produced, and mixed by John Diliberto. Jazz Profiles is produced by Tim Owens, assistant producer Madeline Smith.